All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the newest episode of Poor Decisions with Dylan. I have with me Mr. Josh Parnell, founder of Limitless Leadership, owner of a sick beard company as well. We're going to dive into that a little bit later. But we're here for some bad takes, some good drinks, and maybe some poor decisions. Josh, I don't know if I actually prepped you on this part. Do you have a drink with you by chance?
I
Milk,
do
juice,
have
water, tea?
I do have a drink. I'm drinking Waterloo right now, out of a glass,
Waterloo?
but
Okay, so is that like a seltzer?
it is, yeah, it's like a sparkling water.
Nice. Awesome. What flavor is that one?
Lemon lime.
Lemon lime. Nice. I got a nice crisp Diet Coke with me.
Nice.
I'm a big diet or sugar soda drinker. I should probably wean off of it at some point, but it's my guilty pleasure. So, well, awesome. Thanks for hopping in with me. I really appreciate you. I know we've chatted before in the past. We've always tried to run into each other in our industry's conferences and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to start off with that is I'm in the automotive space. You're in the automotive space with obviously limitless leadership and a bunch of other stuff. How'd you really get into the automotive world? Like what drove you into it? Was it always a passion of yours? Just tell me about that.
Yeah, Dylan, well, first, I wanna say thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be here, and,
My
man,
pleasure.
I've admired your sick beard from afar. Being able to, like, jump on the call with you and see it, across the screen, is still amazing, but,
Thank you.
to answer your question, I kind of fell into this industry almost by accident. I feel like a lot of people will probably tell you the same thing, but my story begins in terms of the industry. Back in about 2015, I was currently, as the time I was in oil and gas. So
Okay.
I was working as a petroleum landman in the oil and gas industry, and at the time, business was just very much of a roller coaster. I mean, when it was good, it was good. When it was bad, it was bad. And
Okay.
I found myself working project to project, not knowing when one project was going to end and when the next was going to begin. And a friend of mine worked at Christian Brothers Automotive at the home office on the west side of Houston, and so he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, there's a position opening up at the corporate office for a trainer, and I think you'd be a good fit. Would you be interested?" And my immediate response was, "Well, I don't know anything about cars," because I wasn't a car guy. And
Yeah.
so he said, it's not about the content. The content can be taught. You can learn the car stuff.
Yep.
It's really about how to serve people, how to lead people, how to train, coach, and manage people. It was a lot of sales. It was phone skills. It was workflow, the
Yep.
guest experience. That's what I would be training people on, and so I could learn the content as I went. So I went into my first interview, turned into a second interview pretty quickly, and um, out of almost 200 applicants, was offered the role. And
Wow, that's a lot.
I'll say, Dylan, like the reason that's important to me and special for me because at the time I didn't really feel like I was qualified.
Yep.
Certainly not like the others, but I'm a faith-based person. I believe that God is at the forefront of my life, and
Love
everything
that.
happens for a reason. And looking back now, I know that He had me in this place for a reason. And knowing who I was just almost a decade ago, or actually now over a decade, knowing who I was back then compared to who I've grown into now, I know it's because God was at work, even when I didn't know He was at work. And so I was offered the role. I obviously gladly accepted the role. Um, and then after about a year, and about 2 years later, um, a move was made in my department that allowed me for the opportunity to lead the department. And so
Wow.
when I joined Christian Brothers, I was one of two trainers on the team, and then had the opportunity to lead that department. There was two trainers, one program, and by the time I left, almost a decade later, I was leading seven other people on the team, and there were
Wow.
six programs, and I was the host of the company-wide podcast, and that was a
Man.
leadership podcast. And so I was there for about 8.5 years. Loved that company, loved my role there. But as I shared, I'm a faith-based person. I felt like God was calling me out about 3 years ago, calling me out of that incredible organization. And so for months I fought it because I'm like, no, like this, I love what I do here. I love the
Yep.
people that I do it with. And
I felt that
logically, it
before.
makes sense. I have a wife and 4 kids and a mortgage and like like,
Yeah.
why would I leave something with so much safety and security? And, um, and so I kept, for months I fought it, and I'll say, Dylan, I kept saying, it was me speaking back to God saying, God, if this is what you want me to do, show me a sign, give me something, like show me and I'll trust you. But you got to give me a
Right.
sign. And almost overnight, he flipped my own script and he said, Josh, trust me and I'll show you. And so
I love
I
that.
immediately began to say, okay, you know what? Like, it doesn't, while this is scary, I'm going to do my best to exercise faith over fear. And I believe that the similarity between faith and fear is that they both believe in a future that hasn't happened yet. So why wouldn't we choose faith? So I said,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to trust you and I'm going to just see what happens. And so, Dylan, when I tell you, man, there's this unexplainable peace about the decision to leave a great company to
Yeah.
step into this terrifying world of entrepreneurship, to do the unknown, to I mean, again, at the time I didn't even know what I was walking into. I just knew I was going to be doing something different than what I was doing.
Mhm.
And over the last 3 years, I've now been an entrepreneur for almost 3.5 years. But over that time frame, things have evolved just like they always do. Things have evolved. I've evolved.
1,000%.
This company has evolved. Only 10 months ago, it was just me in Limitless Leadership, and now there's a team of 6, and we're growing so fast. I mean, we're getting clients um, on a weekly basis, and
That's
and
awesome. Congratulations.
thank you. Well, what's more important to me though is it's the opportunity to impact people and build leaders. That's what our
Yeah.
mission statement is, and God has given me a platform in this incredible industry to be a light in a dark industry,
Yeah.
and that's what our mission is to be a light for people, is to let people know that hey, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Business ownership is hard. The industry is hard.
It's tough.
It's industry to be in, and and I think it's important that people know that they have support. They have people who are in their corner who believe in them, who help them see things maybe differently in order to view things differently, to do things differently, and achieve limitless results. And that's really what we're all about: is
Love it.
being to help people know, look, you're not alone. You've been
Yeah.
called to this place and this season of life, and you're gonna thrive, and we're here to help.
Um, First of all, thank you for sharing your story of that. I feel like I just learned so much about you, and then now it's all clicking together of where you started, how you got there, where what you're building from here. The quote you said where like have faith, not fear. That is
Yeah.
amazing. I love that. I think I talked to you couple weeks back, and I talked about how I'm trying to get more involved back with my faith in God, and starting to go back to church and get more into that. And I'm gonna start using that, just as in my mindset as well too. I'm growing within my role of the company, growing as a husband, future father, maybe one day. And yeah, there's always that fear in the back of my mind, but I want to definitely get to that. Let f Don't let God just show me the sign. Let Keep that faith in him, and
Yeah.
he will then show me along the way. I love that. When you were, um, obviously making that transition from, like, that, leadership role and, like, trainer role and everything inside of Christian Brothers and starting your own venture inside of, Limitless Leadership, I guess what was your whole goal, I know that's obviously very broad, but, like, what did you wanna do that made you different from everybody else in the industry? I mean, there's a million coaching groups out there and all these types of things within our industry and even outside of our industry. Um, what made you wanna stand out and be different?
Well, I'll ask this: why fit in when you were born to stand out? I mean, it's like, like
Man, we're hitting hard today.
we can always fit in,
Yeah.
but we were truly born to stand out.
Yep.
And this is a form of accountability. Accountability is not calling you out; it's calling you up. And I think every one of us has an opportunity to be a better version of ourselves. How are we leveling up spiritually, physically, emotionally, academically, financially? What are we
Yeah.
doing in our life? Like, how are we living today to make an impact for tomorrow? So my
Right.
goal was to impact people and build leaders. How am I going to do that? I didn't know at the time. I didn't know how I was going to do that. But what I did know was that as I shared earlier, the similarity between faith and fear is they both believe in a future that hasn't happened yet. And if I felt like God was calling me out of something into something else, I was going to do my best to simply obey. And as I obey, I will then get more clarity and direction on what exactly this is shaping out to be. I knew that I was going to impact people and build leaders. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but when I had the opportunity to go speak at ASTA's Fueling Connections event in April of 2025, so that was just about a year and a half
About a year
ago.
ago. Yeah.
That was my first non-Christian Brothers event that I went and had the opportunity to speak at in front of a large audience. The audience there, I think there was close to 60 shop owners. And that was a large audience for me, being someone who didn't
Intimidating.
people didn't know who I was, what Limitless Leadership was, but I knew that I could make an impact. I just needed a room. I just needed a room to get in front of people, and that was the first opportunity to be able to do that. Shortly thereafter, I kept getting more and more opportunities, and in those opportunities, what I realized was if I'm truly being called to be a light in a dark industry, I need to focus on collaboration and not competition.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of coaching companies, as you shared, in the industry, and these guys are great at what they do. Like I'm big believers in a lot of these coaching companies and how they do things. And the cool thing about Limitless Leadership is that we're simply a value add to these companies. We can work in tandem or complementary to them. Why? Because we stay in our lane of leadership.
Okay.
Most of these coaching companies are focused on business coaching, shop coaching.
Right.
They are shop coaches, and we are leadership coaches for shops. So most of our clients also work with ShopFix, Elite, The Institute,
Yeah.
Transformers, ATI, Rick White, and 180 Biz. I mean, there's a
Yep.
lot of, and forgive me. I mean, I know I'm forgetting a lot of great
Probably a
coaching
dozen
companies
more
out
we could
there.
name. Yeah.
But the thing is, most of our clients also work with those companies, and we encourage that. In fact, when I meet with someone who is not working with anybody, I always encourage them to work with us, but also work with another coaching company who's going to give you the shop coaching that we won't. What we are going to do is we're going to provide you the tools, resources necessary to help grow and develop a leader within yourself and a leader within leaders within your brand.
I
Um,
love that.
like to me, what I share is for shop owners, we like to give you the gift of time and money in your pocket because it's your responsibility to grow and develop leaders within your brand. Let a leadership development company do that for you. So most of our
Yeah.
clients are shop owners who have invested in their team members and hired us to grow and develop their leaders within their brand. I would say 25% of our clients are owners themselves, but the other
Okay.
75% consist of service managers, advisors, shop
Wow.
foremen, people who are maybe future leaders where, um, even at Detect Auto, Dylan, I mean, like there are people within your organization who while they may not be in a senior leadership role, they are a leader because
Yep.
they have perspective that no one else has, which allows them the opportunity to be influential. Or in other words, they're contagious. You can either
Yeah.
infect, you can affect. And anyone who is affecting change is a change agent, which makes them a leader. So when I say that we truly work with anyone and everyone in our industry and others for that matter,
Yep.
I mean, that's probably an understatement. Like we truly can work with anyone and everyone and help grow and develop leaders from a place of clarity, direction. We create safety, we create trust. We help them with effectively communicating through one-on-ones, through daily huddles, through tech talks. We help them with time management, uh,
Wow.
empowering through delegation. We help an owner cast a vision, and the team drives the mission towards the vision. So
I love
I'm just
that.
going on this rant. Thank you for the platform. I'm just going on a rant here, but
Dude, no, this is like I mentioned, I created this platform just to have like the deep hitting conversations like this
yeah.
because as you're saying all this, my mind is just spinning and spinning. So I got a million things that I'm ready to start blaring at you. So you can rant all you want.
Well, if that's the case, let me go ahead and pause and see what questions you
You're
have. I will say, man, like
you're
I think you can probably hear it in my voice. I get fired up about this. Like this is something I
dude,
truly,
you're passionate. You are
yeah,
passionate. I know we met like for the first time officially, like a week or two ago, and we just talked for like 45 minutes or so, and I could instantly see all of that passion rolling through you. And nothing's changing on a Friday early morning, at the beginning of a month. So I love that. So first question I had for you is you mentioned that um, you like somebody like myself in Detect Auto or somebody outside the automotive industry could get into that realm. Obviously, I want to use this platform for you as well too. Is how would like one person go about doing that? and what would they expect? So if I, maybe wink, wink, subtle hint there, came to Josh Parnell and said, "Hey, I want to get more involved with limitless leadership. I see that as something I want to develop in my career and
Okay.
go from not just that base level employee where I'm not actually a manager higher up in the company, but I want to strive to get there because I consider myself an effect, not an infectious
Yeah.
person, and I want to be there. What would I do?"
Well, great question. I want to start by saying that I myself also have a coach. I'm currently working with two coaches right now. One is a writing coach as I'm writing my second book called Blue to Black, and the other is
We'll get to that soon.
also, so my other is my, like, life coach, my leadership coach. I mean, a lot
Yeah.
of, like, leadership coaching, while it is gonna help you with professional growth and development, it's also gonna help personally. So sometimes our clients might feel like they're getting leadership coaching. They might also feel like they're getting some life coaching. Maybe sometimes it's gonna feel like they're getting some counseling, which is perfectly fine because
Yes, therapy action.
we kick things off with the leadership mindset. It's important to understand that humans have up to 60,000 thoughts per day. Studies show
Oh,
that 80% of our thoughts are negative and 90% of our thoughts are repetitive. So a lot of us are
okay.
often operating under limiting beliefs and we don't know it because what happens is one of the greatest mistakes any of us can make is we start assuming all of our beliefs or thoughts are true. And so when we can start shifting a perspective and we can even ask ourselves questions like, Josh, what else could be true? Like if I'm thinking something, I have to remember like this thought may not even be 100% accurate. So our thoughts dictate feelings, our feelings dictate actions, and our actions dictate results. If I'm not achieving the results I want to achieve, let me go back to the thoughts I'm having and let me start questioning and challenging those thoughts. What if I ask myself, what else could be true? Because maybe this
Yeah.
is not actually true. Now, to directly answer your question though, Dylan, there are three primary offerings that we provide, which is the Limitless Leadership Blueprint. It's an online leadership training platform that is only $97 a month for anyone who's listening or watching this episode. If you want to check out the blueprint, what I'll do, Dylan, is I'll give you a link that gives
Let's not
everyone
put it.
a
I'll
30
attach it
day
in with everything. Yep.
and to the blueprint because what basically they can try it out for 30 days. After 30 days, it just turns into a $97 per month subscription. And there's currently over a dozen hours and growing of video content. There are dozens of downloadable resources. There's one of them is an interactive ebook. And I call it an interactive ebook because for every image that you see within the ebook, you click on the image and it takes you to a corresponding article or corresponding video, additional
Okay.
knowledge out there, but all know that knowledge without action is just information. So we've
Yeah,
got
exactly.
this as well. So one of the offerings is the Limitless Leadership Blueprint, only $97 a month. Um, in fact, that's the only thing I'm gonna give you a price on because that price is never gonna change. Like
Yeah.
my words, it's never gonna change. The other two offerings is weekly or biweekly one-on-one coaching from a
Okay.
certified leadership coach. We have a team of tremendous, incredible coaches. These guys are certified. I mean, I have a couple guys who are John Maxwell leadership certified. I have one of my coaches who's the director of coaching development for us is Michael Hyatt certified. He's Donald Miller certified, also DISC certified. So if you're familiar with DISC profile assessments,
We got
uh,
some A team, A players on this team. I love it.
and look, when I say God is blessing me with some world class coaches, world class trainers, that's an understatement. These guys are the best of the best. I have people on the team who are multi business owners across multiple industries. Like these guys truly are world class. So
I
that's one
love
of our
that.
offerings. And then the other, and the last one I'm going to share with you. This one is actually one that has been taking off quite a bit across the industry. It's a hybrid style of coaching. So what this means is there are weekly touch points.
Okay.
Bi-weekly, individuals will get one-on-one leadership coaching with a certified leadership coach from Limitless Leadership. And then when they're not meeting with their certified leadership coach on a biweekly basis, they're meeting with me in a group. So I do all the group coaching calls for Limitless Leadership. But what we're doing is we're having ShopFix, for example. ShopFix has tribes, and
Yep.
we'll be a tribe who says, okay, we have, you know, 30 people in our tribe, and I want to get 12 service managers from this group of 30 owners to go through a hybrid coaching platform with
That's
Limitless Leadership.
awesome.
So we'll go through a 3-month program with the guys. I have organizations who are multi shop owners, and
Yep.
so I've got a great client of ours not far from you in Arizona with 9 locations. I have another one in Portland with 5 locations. We have another one in North Carolina. Who he has 1 location, but he has his entire team going through the program. So what we'll do is we'll have, for example, in Arizona, 9 locations. Well, we can get 12 people across 9 locations to go through a program together. So even
Yeah.
if Tech Auto said, you know what, we want to put 10 of our team members through the hybrid coaching, that's what we do. And so
That's awesome.
you'd individually meet with a certified leadership coach biweekly, and then the team would all meet with me on a biweekly basis in group coaching calls.
That's awesome. I think that is one big thing that is missing from this industry, and it's gonna lead me into my next part here, is I feel like a lot of people in the industry either like you and me just kind of lucked into it, just happened by chance, or
Yep.
somebody said, "Hey, you should go try this. It's really fun and cool." And then it's just this giant bubble that's just waiting to burst of bad thoughts. There's some rough people in the industry, rough companies. There's also some great ones, but I think I might even steal that thing of 80% of our thoughts are bad. I don't know if I should go as far as saying 80% of the industry is bad, but sometimes it could definitely feel that way. So with that, I think you're already making a giant impact in the automotive industry, which I know and love, you know and love. If you could change one thing with a magic wand, and this is putting me on the spot here, one thing is gonna be hard. If you could change one thing about the automotive industry, what would it be?
Growth mindset.
Growth
If
mindset.
if people can start thinking with an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset, or a
Okay.
growth mindset versus a fixed mindset,
Mhm.
our mindset is what is preventing us from achieving incredible limitless results. When I share that, consider this. I know I just shared that we have up to 60,000 thoughts per day. 80% are negative, 90% are repetitive. Consider that if we know those stats to be true, and sadly they are,
Yeah.
anxiety has increased by over 300% since the pandemic in 2020. It is no wonder why we regularly experience stress,
Yeah.
worry, doubt, concern,
All you're thinking
anxiety.
about.
That's right. But we know that fear is simply false evidence appearing real. Here's the problem, though, Dylan.
Ooh.
We will always find evidence in the things that we believe. So think about that. Like if I believe that if I'm a shop owner and we did 2 million in 2025, and we are aiming for, a small jump to 2.25. So we're going to jump a quarter of $1 million, which is a what 12% increase.
Yeah.
Math is not a strong suit.
Roughly, yeah.
But we're gonna increase from 2 to 2.25. Who's to say that we're not at a $3 million a store right now? But because we were going to find evidence in the things we believe, if I believe that we can only achieve 2.25, I will find evidence that supports those limiting beliefs. Conversely
Okay.
speaking, if I learn how to challenge my thoughts, question my thoughts, and if I learn how to believe in myself, because I know I believe in the 3 C's. Am I capable? Am I competent? And am I confident? Many of us, we have the capability because we have the tools and resources required to do our jobs very well. We have the
Yep.
competence because we've studied, we've gotten our education, we've learned how to know how to do our job very well. The problem that a lot of us face is we have a lack of confidence because we think something and we believe it to be true. And I will find evidence that supports my limiting beliefs. If I believe that I'm not smart enough, I'm going to find evidence that backs that up.
Uh,
If I believe that I'm not
yeah.
good enough, I'm going to find evidence that backs that up. If we can change any one thing about the industry, overall it's mindset, but specifically it's a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset.
I love that. I've heard this before. I can't remember. I'm trying to think of who told me about this. But they said that they love to add a 4th C onto that, and that is to be coachable as well.
Oh,
Because if you have all of that, but then you can't learn to have somebody come to you and help coach you and help guide you along the way when you still do need it, because we can't do everything on our own. Whether it's somebody in a leadership role, or it's somebody that's a mentor, or somebody like God and faith based, like we
yep.
have to be able to be led and be coaching and trust in them. So I love that part of it. And then also going back to that thing where you're saying, if we think it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen. I had a cross country and track coach when I was in high school. Shout out Coach Mulig. He would always say, if you think you can or you think you can't, you probably will. I'm sure it's probably from somebody famous that he used to say it all the time. He had a bunch of Prefontaine quotes, if you know who that is, famous Oregon runner. But I have a couple quotes saved in my Google Drive that I look at pretty frequently, almost every week, not every day. And that's one of the top ones in there is if you think you can or you think you can't, you probably will. So meaning if I think I can make something happen, I'm gonna make it happen. If I
Yeah.
think it's not gonna happen, I can't go from 2,000,000 to 2.25, or I can't go from 2,000,000 to 3,000,000. I'm never gonna get there because I don't have that growth mindset. So I
Right.
love that. I think that's a great way to put it in the industry is there's a lot of comfortable people in the industry. I mean, it's a human nature. Everybody wants to be comfortable. They don't want to get out of their daily routine and change. And I love that. Uh, Going to back to what we mentioned earlier is like that blue to black. You mentioned that you're writing a book, Blue to Black. I think this kind of fits in really well what we're discussing right now. So, what is your whole initiative between Blue to Black? What's going on with this right now, and when can we expect to see it too?
Yeah. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share more. I do want to go back real quick and touch on what you just shared. I love that
Yeah,
quote, by the way, and this might make your day. That quote actually comes from an industry guy, Henry Ford.
really.
Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right." And I think there's power in that because when we believe something, we have to recognize that this belief might be a limiting belief. So, what else could be true? That's the question to ask.
Okay.
Um, so,
Take it a step further. I love it.
oh, you just said, what do you say right after that quote? Yeah, I had a thought of something that you just shared. Oh,
Um,
comfortable.
yeah,
Um,
comfortability.
I think that if we want to get comfortable doing anything, let's get comfortable being uncomfortable. Growth and comfort cannot coexist.
Yep.
And I believe in this concept of being content but not comfortable. Content to me means being happy. It doesn't mean that I'm satisfied, but it means I'm happy. Like
Okay.
I work hard. I try to do my best in things. The way we do anything is the way we do everything. I want to do everything with a level of excellence. It's a
Yep.
standard that I have. I
Yeah.
believe in setting a standard. I believe in standards over goals. Standards allow you to operate at a different level. It's a higher level. Like you won't tolerate or settle for anything less than your best.
Another Steve Prefontaine quote right there. To give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift.
Oh, I love it. Man, I might have to steal that one. So if you I'm a quote guy myself. I love
Yep.
quotes. As a trainer, I share quotes all the time. But man, where was I going with this thought? I'm losing my train of thought here.
Comfortability and content and being not satisfied with
Oh,
everything.
that's right. So a favorite quote of mine from Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. He says,
Okay.
"Beware the lollipop of mediocrity. Lick it once and you'll suck forever."
Huh.
So
Good old Beastie Boys.
so the no, from the Beach Boys. Brian
Oh,
Wilson, Beach
Beach
Boys.
Boys. There we go. Okay. I said
Beach
Beastie
Boys,
Boys.
yeah. Beware the lollipop of mediocrity, lick it
Okay.
once and you'll suck forever. Because the thing is, like, when we start tolerating and settling for mediocrity,
Yep.
man, it's such a dangerous place to be in. Because as a leader, if you're tolerating mediocrity from one of your team members, your other team members see this as well, and they start losing respect for you as well. And so, what can we do to raise the standard? I believe in effectively onboarding, properly training, and consistently coaching. Most companies in our industry do not do all three of those very well. If
Yeah.
anything, they might do one of those on occasion. But when you ask any one of your clients, Dylan, like, hey, what's your onboarding process look like? I'd be surprised if someone gave you a pretty lengthy, um, uh, detailed um, process for onboarding. It's an
Yeah.
opportunity that we're missing. So to go back to your question though, in terms of Blue to Black, so the name of my second book that I wrote a book called Leading a Legacy, which is my first book, and on the cover of the book, there's a picture of a rocket ship launching into the blue sky. The second book
Okay.
is called Blue to Black. and it dives into the concept that the sky is not the limit. The sky is our starting point. The sky is our launch pad. So when we're talking about going from blue to black, we're talking about going from blue sky to this like black, deep space, rare air that most people never get to and maybe just
Yeah.
dream of. And to me, it's kind of this like, I think we're all familiar with Kobe Bryant and the Mamba mentality.
Yep.
It's this relentless pursuit of perfection, knowing you're never going to attain it. Is chasing excellence without a finish line. Is
Okay.
truly doing anything and everything that we can to level up spiritually, physically, emotionally, academically, and financially to go from a blue to black lifestyle, to be in the 1% of the one percenters. And when you talk about true separation, like true setting yourself apart, like you asked me, what about me wanted to be different in this industry?
Mhm.
It truly is about being born to stand out. How am I going to do that? That means I'm not going to allow or settle for mediocrity. Over the last, I started writing this book about 7 months, 6 months ago, something like that. And
Okay.
by the way, writer's block is a real thing. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It's taken
I
me a
can imagine so.
but, I told myself, like, if I'm gonna write this book called Blue to Black, like, I've gotta live a blue to black lifestyle. That's when I got my second coach. I also work with a counselor on a monthly basis. I'm also married to a licensed professional counselor, so I get free counseling all the time, even when I don't want it.
I was
But
about to say,
he's
that
good
sounds
at it,
fun.
and I need it.
Yeah.
But when I started writing this book, I said, "What do I need to do to go from blue to black in areas of my life?" Well, one of the things I quit doing was drinking, and I don't drink. I didn't drink a lot, but
Right.
I'd social drink or maybe have a drink every now and then at the house. I completely quit drinking back in late November, early December of last year. I don't have a date. I don't know what date I actually quit, but it was early December, I believe. And I told myself, I'm not going to drink until the book is published. Now, that's not going to turn me into a drinker. I know myself well enough to know. I know how my mind works. Like
Yep.
I'm going to have boundaries for myself. But if I do drink again, it's not going to be until the book is published. I also hired a personal trainer about 4 months ago because I want to get in the best physical shape of my life. I can't release blue to black if I'm personally not living a blue to black lifestyle.
I love that.
So we being my wife and I dove headfirst into counseling for both of us individually and together as like a marriage counseling.
Yeah.
It's helped our marriage. I mean, I think anytime you can get coaching, mentoring, counseling, it's going to help. There's nothing wrong with getting help with, in my opinion, the most valuable asset that we own, which is our mind.
Yeah.
There are gyms on every corner to level up physically. Well, part of leveling up is also leveling up emotionally and mentally, and being able to um, really help strengthen your mind and strengthen your belief and your ability to grow in your confidence and grow blue to black. And so that's something else we've been working on.
I
But
think sorry to interrupt you. I
no, you're
I
good.
I love that you said, like, it's not I can't remember how you phrased it, but, like, asking for help and asking for coaching and guidance and stuff like in a marriage and everything like that. I would obviously, every marriage, every relationship will always have an issue. Nobody is 100% ever gonna have a perfect thing. And maybe if I would assume, maybe you guys probably didn't actually need a counselor, but I think that's one big thing in the world today is it can't hurt anything.
It
It's only gonna make you stronger. Like, imagine if you're already people look at you and say, "Oh my gosh, that's the best couple ever. They're so strong. They're so passionate to each other." Why not go from blue to black and be even better? That sky is no longer the limit. Let's be even
right.
better than that. When you explained it to me, I love it. I was looking at your website before this and I saw you had like a voting thing about for your book of
Yeah,
what cover to do.
yeah,
Um I will say that I preferred the one without the earth. So
yeah,
that's the one that I liked. Uh and the book cover makes sense now, especially with the rocket ship and now going to the sky, the stars.
yeah.
Man, you're the big thinker. I love it.
Well, when you put the books together, when you put them together, like, leading a legacy, on the
Yeah, like
bottom and then
stacking
blue to
up.
black on top, even the color blue is gonna shift into that black.
Okay.
But man, it's been fun. It's been quite a journey. I do wanna go back and address one thing.
Yeah.
My wife and I do need counseling. While I appreciate the growth that we've had, as a pair, we're a blended family. We have 4 kids. We this is our second marriage for both of us. We are co-parenting. We are navigating, our relationships with our exes to make sure that
Yeah.
everyone's cordial and trust me, man, it's not easy. And so it's challenging. And there are different, caveats that come into play that make things even more challenging. Being an entrepreneur is challenging.
Yeah.
Owning and trying to scale 2 businesses is challenging. So while we have a good, healthy marriage, I always believe that things can go from good to great or great to greater in our case.
Yeah.
And there are definitely, we have our moments. What's interesting is as a leadership coach, one of the things I really work with a lot of folks on is communication and the
Yeah.
impact that poor communication has on a business or even someone's life. From a professional standpoint, poor communication is costing shop owners 18% of total salaries paid out on an annual basis.
Holy
So
moly.
consider this: if you're a shop owner and you're paying your team a salary total of $1 million per year, poor communication could be
$100,000.
creating sunk cost in the amount of $180,000, and that's just from poor communication. It's not talking about bringing accountability and coachability into your organization or
Yep.
adding the effective onboarding, proper training, and consistent coaching. It's not talking about what your poor time management is impacting or what your inability to delegate. We've heard the phrase "give a man to fish and he'll eat for a day." We can teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime, but many of us don't make the time because we don't think that we have the time. So there's
Yeah.
so much involved with it. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because when you think about, like, I know you're married, Dylan. If
Yeah.
you if I were to ask you, like, what are like one of your top challenges in your marriage? This is a rhetorical question. Don't need to answer it, but
I'd love to.
most people will like communications typically in the top three, and for most people, communications the top challenge.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I do this for a living. My wife is a licensed professional counselor, and communication is still one of our greatest challenges. If you're
I would
listening, you're,
yeah.
you're probably thinking like, "Well, no wonder this guy doesn't shut up. All he does is talk." I promise you that's not the case. But it's just,
No, yeah, I would definitely say that like, thinking really quickly, it's definitely communicating, and even the times that we feel like we're communicating in quantity, we're not communicating effectively or the quality isn't what the other person needs, I think is the biggest thing as well too. So heck, we're going really deep here on relationship stuff, but like if like I say it like communicate to my wife that I need something from her emotionally, physically, whatever it may be,
Mhm.
but I don't communicate it in a way that she actually understands it, she might not end up doing what I'm asking of her, but because she didn't fully understand it and vice versa. So
Yes.
um good to great, great to greater. I think that's a perfect, perfect part of that. Um, man, I didn't I didn't expect to come in here and like just be feeding my brain information or you feeding my brain information. This has been awesome. So thank you again. I can't thank you enough for letting me have you on my podcast.
Thank you.
Uh, I wanted to kind of keep on this same realm, about, like, family and stuff, if you don't mind. You mentioned, like, blended family and everything like that.
Yeah.
I actually came from a blended family very young. My parents divorced when I was 7 years old. My wife's parents actually divorced I think she was, like, 10 or 11. So we both every Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's going to, like, 18 different
Yeah.
households, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I've experienced it from the child's point of view. You are experiencing it from the parent point of view.
Yeah.
Um, what is it like trying to focus on so many things? So being in a blended household, two different companies, writing a book. How do you get yourself to show up and be your best every day for everything, and also manage it well as well too, like time wise and just emotionally wise?
I love this question. And again, Dylan, thank you for the platform, man. One of the stories that I shared in my first book, Leading a Legacy, I talked about at the time I was at Christian Brothers. I was working my corporate job, and I told a story about how I came home from work one day, and I came home on a Thursday evening. We had done a week long training at the Christian Brothers Automotive home office, And I immediately got home and started talking to my wife about all the people that I met in training and how great it was. And I was, I love what I do and I loved what I
Yeah.
did then as well. And the relationships that I get to make is really probably the most special thing for me. So I remember sharing this with her, and as I'm sharing this with her, I see her face change, not for the better. Like I see it on her face that something's bothering her. And so I
Yeah.
said, I asked what was wrong. And I'll never forget this. She said, "Honey, I love you, and I love that you love what you do and who you do it with, but sometimes it feels like we're getting your leftovers." And
Damn.
that was a gut punch that I needed because I realized I was saying yes to everyone and everything. And for every yes, there's a corresponding no. And so I was
Yeah.
inadvertently saying no to my family. I was saying no to myself. I was saying no to a lot of things that I
God.
shouldn't being saying no. God, that's right. Like I was saying no to a lot of people and things I should not have been saying no to. And so to directly answer your question, the change I made, this was about that happened about 5, 6 years ago.
Okay.
I stopped saying yes to everyone and everything. I started compartmentalizing, I started setting boundaries, and more importantly, keeping those boundaries.
Yeah.
So I live and die by my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen.
Don't move the
So
goalposts.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I have a calendar system that I operate with. I set and keep boundaries. Um, I I try my best to not pour from an empty cup. And the analogy that I typically share with folks is imagine that you're getting on an airplane and when you get on, the pilot's going to come across the intercom and say, "Hey, if things are going to go haywire and an oxygen mask is going to fall from your ceiling, well, who does the pilot say to put the mask on first? It's always you, right? It's always
Yourself.
yourself.
Yeah.
So even if there's
And
kids
then
around,
help others.
there's
Yep.
elderly people around, put your mask on first. The idea is take care of yourself first. I believe in this concept of self-care, call it being selfish, call it whatever you want, but
Yeah.
if I'm going to adequately and effectively serve those around me, if I'm going to show up as my best self, I have to actually put myself first. Then I put my family next. Then I put my people that I'm serving next. So if I'm in a shop, I always say like serve yourself first, then serve your team, then serve your guests. And
Yeah.
that's typically the order, like the order that we typically see is completely in reverse. It's always guest, then team, then ourself.
Yep.
But it, when I share this concept, I hope no one is hearing me say like be selfish in a negative way.
I understand what you're saying.
It's a way where it's like if I'm gonna give everyone my best, I've got to show up for myself first. That might mean I have to say no to some things. Maybe it's to say no to everything and literally just go take a nap, Dylan. I mean, it's like, look, man, I'm like it's busy and I
Yeah.
love what I do. I don't get burnt out, but I definitely get tired. And I
For sure.
know that if I get tired, I've got to go take care of myself in a way that is going to allow me to effectively serve those around me. So whether that means I'm taking a nap, whether it means I'm just reading a book, whether it means I'm just giving myself some time to sit on the balcony with my wife and just enjoy her company, just
Yeah.
to take a breath
Right.
because it is a lot. And there's a lot of great things happening, but recognizing I don't have to do all of it. Like as we grow, again, I'm surrounded by an incredible team of coaches and trainers who can also, or who also take some things off of my plate. So I'm able to delegate accordingly. I'm able to say no to certain things so that I can say yes to more important things, or saying that things that should be a priority. And ultimately, I have to remember it's not a race. I mean, I would
Yeah.
love I was hoping to have the book ready by the time, I'm the keynote speaker at the, Sunrise Training and Expo in Arizona this year.
Excited to see that.
That's
I'm
in July.
excited.
I was hoping to have the book ready for then because the title of the keynote is Blue to Black.
Yep.
Uh, but I'm not. I'm not gonna have it ready. There's still a lot of writing to do, and now I'm just saying, hopefully it comes out this year. I think it will. I mean, it should come out this year. But I keep reminding myself, like, Josh, you're doing a lot. Like, it's okay to um to slow down in order to speed up.
For
I think it
sure.
is an opportunity, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm giving myself grace, and I'm recognizing, like, look, I got a lot going on, but hopefully I can take things one day at a time, and eventually things are going to keep on falling into place.
Um thank you for sharing all of that. It really means a lot to let you be able to open up with like a very personal story like that. And also it takes a very big person, very big man to understand, hey, I was neglecting someone, my
Mhm.
wife, my family, my friends, whatever, God, everything, and know that I have to flip a switch and go from blue to black. So that's awesome. Gosh, now I forgot the point I was going to mention as well too. Um, Man,
Well,
talk about writer's block, maybe just a brain fart moment there for what is it? What are we gonna call it? Podcast host
yeah.
block?
Well, I'll say this, like, while you're thinking about it, one thing I will share is, um, something a valuable lesson I learned, back in the military 20 years ago. I was in the Air Force for 4 years, and I'm dating myself because I got out over 20 years ago, which is crazy to think. Because had I stayed in, I would have already, like, retired from the Air Force, and I still feel fairly young, at times, but anyway.
I'm gonna give you your flowers. I honestly would not expected you to be out of the Air Force for 20 years, so I'll give you
Yeah,
your flowers there.
thank you. I'm 44, and so
Wow, no, you're lying. There's no
well,
way.
no, I am, and,
I was gonna
so
guess like 34, man,
oh,
so
thanks. Hey,
you're
I'll take
doing well.
I'll take it. But a lesson I learned back then was, knowing that there's 2 things that we can control each and every day. It's our attitude and our effort. I'm not saying it's easy.
Okay.
In fact, there are some really hard, challenging days. Like my father passed away unexpectedly from a heart attack in May of 2020,
Sorry for
and
your loss.
I often think about thank you. I often think about, like, that day was one of the hardest days of my life. It was, obviously a tragic day. I'm never gonna forget, that day and just the things that played out that day.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, I still could choose my attitude on that day. Yes, it was a hard day. Yes, it was one of the hardest days of my life, if not the hardest day, so far. But what I can tell you is that there are still people in my life who are there for a reason, and I still have the opportunity to show up a certain kind of way. And yes, that they would give me grace on the day that my father passed away, obviously, but I still have a responsibility and an obligation to show up in a way that it's a way that I get to show up for someone who, may not be expecting me to be able to show up in this way, but it's my attitude. Like, the attitude that I have, I'm gonna be positive. I mean, like, I call it
Yeah.
blind optimism, where, like, I'm just eternally optimistic. Is probably why, entrepreneurship is something that I know I can do because,
In your blood.
I'm like, there's a fine line between being crazy and being courageous, and I
For sure.
when you can, like, just blindly be optimistic and say,
Yeah.
"It's gonna work out. I'm gonna figure it out as I go." That's what it's all about. It's having this attitude. The second thing we get to control is our effort. We can always provide maximum effort. So I'm not saying give 100%, because
Yeah.
there's some days that I can't give 100%. Maybe I'm sick, maybe I'm injured, maybe something's going on in my life. Maybe it's the day that my father passed away. I can't
Mhm.
give my 100% on that day, but if I can give 80, I'm going to give 80. If I can give 70, I'm going to give 70. That's my 100. And I think when we remember, like, look, I can control my attitude and my effort. This gives me an opportunity to show up for people who God put in my life for a reason. Dylan, I believe that God puts people in our life. Hear me out for a second. This is maybe a little, unconventional, but I believe that God puts people in our life who are actually depending on us to fulfill God's purpose for our own life, unbeknownst to them. So that
Okay.
means I have a greater calling, a greater purpose, because there are people in my life. And by the way, it's a two-way street. Like,
Yeah.
for all we know, God put me in your life for a reason, and God put you in my life for a reason. Are we maximizing those, like this meeting? Are we capturing the opportunities that God's giving us?
Okay.
Or are we just kind of coasting? And that's the thing. When I go back to being content, being happy,
Yep.
but not being comfortable, I refuse to be comfortable because growth and comfort can't coexist. So that's a thought to consider: is attitude and effort are two things that we can control. Are we making the most of it?
Um, First of all, thank you for your service as well too. I'm a big proponent in veterans. I have tons of family members. My actual uncle, shout out Uncle David. He's retired from the Air Force, so he hit his 25 years or whatever it was, and then got out. So shout out Uncle David. But one thing that you said as well too is like going back towards the attitude thing. And like you mentioned that that was the worst day of your life, and then you subtly said so far.
Mhm.
I think it's that's a big thing that people get caught up in as well too, and kind of the old saying of "This too shall pass."
Mhm.
Like, you're having that rough day, something bad happened, this shall pass. You're having the best day of your life, you just got the biggest client you could ever get, this too shall pass. Like, it's
Yeah.
always gonna be a revolving door for everything. How do you wake up the next day after it? How do you, after getting off that terrible call where you got fired from a client or didn't close the deal, how
Yep.
do you go into the next one? Do you let it bring you down to that 80% level? Or was it just a small tweak really? And let's be confident. Let's not be comfortable and let's shoot for the stars. So I think we share that same mindset very, very similarly. Gosh, it's a hard word.
Well, everything you just shared is all the more reason why I believe everyone should have a coach or a mentor of some kind.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know now, like that, my wife asked the other day. So we took a road trip with the kids earlier this week, and we were having some road trip conversations and road trip games and stuff,
Yeah.
and so one of the questions that we were asking is like, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you were younger? And
Uh,
and this is, kind of another way of asking, like, what's the best advice you can give to somebody? And
yeah.
what I shared was like, I wish I would have known the impact of having a coach and having someone who I'm allowing to speak truth into me. Because had I had a coach when I was, 19, 20, 21 years old, I mean, things would be a lot different for me, and now
Yeah.
I'm forever thankful and grateful and consider myself blessed to be in the position that I'm in now. But I also know that I should have had a coach years ago, and I didn't know it until later. But I know that you're asking a rhetorical question in terms of like,
Yeah.
how do you handle these losses and these things? To me, it's all about perspective. And I'll say it again, with the way that we
Okay.
view things, it drives the way that we do things. And if I can understand the power of being able to pause, process so that I can pivot, that allows me the opportunity to say, you know what, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Because while I didn't get this client or while this, loss occurred, what can I do? What can I learn from it first and foremost, and what can I do different moving forward? Because I do believe that life doesn't happen to us, life happens for us. How
Yeah.
are we handling what God is throwing at us? I can tell you, man, the things that we've been going through in the last year or so, like while I'm thankful to share all the positive things that are happening within our company, personally, there's just been some tough things that my wife and I have had to navigate. And thankfully, I have her in my corner and we're supporting of each other. And, we are each other's biggest cheerleaders. But the things that I've gone through in the last year, I don't know. I don't believe, keep in mind, this is maybe a negative or a limiting belief, but I don't believe that I would have been capable, competent, and confident enough to handle those 10
Yeah.
years ago. But because of the coaching, because of the mentoring, because of the peer-to-peer networking, because of the counseling, the leveling up and the getting comfortable being uncomfortable, I'm in a place where I'm like, okay, like God does only give you what you can handle. And I
Yeah.
didn't think I could handle certain things, but sure enough, we're
Yep.
always capable of more than we believe.
I love that. Yeah, God, that's one of the things that, like I said, I'm trying to get back into my faith and everything like that, is that I've learned as well too, is whether somebody dies unexpectedly, you don't get the job promotion, or the exact opposite, you're the happiest guy in the world, you got engaged or married the girl of your dreams, yada, 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 whatever it may be, like, he's not throwing you anything that you can't handle. He knows who you are, but he's also giving you things that you might have to work to be able to handle. Like, he's
Love that.
he's not just saying, I'm going to give you all of the tools to success. He's saying, follow me and I will help you through and get those tools in your tool belt as well too. So that's one big thing that I've learned, since going back into diving back into God, Jesus, and my faith. So
Let me ask you, Dylan. I'm
yeah,
gonna turn the table. I'm gonna be the host for a second, if you don't
I
mind.
love it.
So I do believe that a lot of opportunities are simply disguised as hard work.
Okay.
And one of the things that, in the upcoming book, Blue to Black, one of the chapter titles is um I don't know what the name of it is gonna be yet. I'm kind of leaning towards the domino effect, but is the
Okay.
concept of how certain dominoes have to fall in order for us to achieve certain things, or like, and maybe these dominoes, they could be good, bad, or indifferent. Like certain
Mhm.
things have to happen in my life in order to get us to a place where is necessary and move in the trajectory that God is moving us towards. Here's an example that I experienced when I joined the Air Force. I had a very strong interest in filmmaking back then. I thought I wanted to be the next
Okay.
Steven Spielberg, and so I thought that videography was a career field I could do in the Air Force.
Mhm.
So I went to my recruiter's office, and he said, "Hey, videography is not available right now, but when you get into basic training, it will be. You just got to sign the dotted line." And I bought it hook, line, and sinker,
Yeah.
signed a guaranteed job. So here I am trying to become a filmmaker in Italy. I want to be stationed in Italy, Germany, Belgium, Spain. I want to, Greece. I want to go across the pond.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a filmmaker in Italy, and instead, I became a, security forces member, which is military police. I became a cop in North Dakota. That's where I was stationed at,
Why
and
not?
Minot, North Dakota, and it was, man, it's cold there, and I'm from Texas. Minot, North Dakota
Yeah.
is cold, but the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is because that was a domino that
Okay.
had to happen and had to fall in order for me to meet certain people, to think a certain kind of way, to do certain
Right.
things, to like, these things have to happen, right? So here's the question I have for you. What is the most recent domino that you've had to encounter? Maybe it's a perceived challenge or an obstacle. What's the recent domino of yours that you've had to have fall down in order for you to get to where you're at right now?
Where is a domino that's had to fall down for me to get to where I was?
Mhm.
I won't say, it's the most recent one. I'll say it's the biggest domino in my life that's gotten me where I am. And I'll backtrack a little bit to get to it. So I grew up with parents that, amazing parents, best parents in the world. Um, were blended family, divorced parents, but still were excellent co-parents. 50-50 custody. I never had to worry about the clothes on my back, anything.
Mhm.
But one big thing they always taught me was go to college, go to college, go to college. Like do good in school, go to college, get a successful job. I was a straight A student in high school, middle school, all of that. Graduated with almost a 4.0, did all of the college courses in high school and everything. I graduated with almost an associate's degree out of high school. I then go to my first year of college. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. I'm excited to start in the pre-law program. Like, I want to be a lawyer. Uh, month one, I'm like, this is freaking terrible. Like, I hate school now. I don't know what it is. Like, this is not fun. I want to goof off, play video games, do stupid stuff with my friends. Um, I just stopped going to school. I literally just stopped showing up to class.
Okay.
So I ended up getting put on academic probation after my first semester in college, and then by the end of obviously semester two, they said, "Yeah, University of Iowa no longer wants you here. You are removed from the University of Iowa. You cannot come back next year." Um, and I was like, "Holy crap, my world is ending. Now I don't have schooling back on. I'm not gonna have a good job, et cetera." And that really messed up my mind for a long time, and
Mm.
thinking that, like, the self-pity, like, "Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, all my friends, my now wife," we were together even back then at the time, she's graduating college, and she's gonna give me some successful big job person. I'm gonna have nothing. Oh my god, poor me, poor Dylan. And it took me many years to realize that that, yes, sucked in the time, and I looked at it as a failure, and I was so heartbroken and also so, I guess I can't even really think of the word for it, but, like, just upset always and, like, always down on myself and beat myself up about it,
Yeah.
until I realized that it happened for a reason. The reason being, it was to get me into the automotive field, which I have now absolutely loved for since 2019 is when I started.
Love that.
I knew very early in my career that I wanted to make this a lifelong thing, whether it was going to be in a company like Detect Auto, whether it was gonna be a service manager at a dealership or some other realm of the automotive space. It wasn't until literally, like, very recently that I realized, "Holy crap, that domino fell back then so I
Yeah.
could get to where I am now." I am able to be in a start being in a bigger role within Detect Auto and taking on more ownership of things, and looking back, if I would've looked at myself in 2016, 17, 18 when I was in that poor me mindset, I would
Mhm.
have never believed I could get to where I am now. So that's my domino that fell. and it
brother.
took a while to get to, now I'm up in the upright domino again, but
Dude, I'll say this, Dylan, like, thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
I see. I'm also learning a lot about you on this call because I have a very similar story, and I want to share a quote with you that I
okay,
think that is really helped me tremendously.
okay,
And in fact, and you'll hear a little bit about this when I do the keynote at
sunrise,
Sunrise. But what I share is when I was in high school, I remember going and telling my parents that I wanted to go to college and I wanted to do videography in college, filmmaking. It was radio, TV, and film,
okay,
the school that I went to. And and I remember my dad saying, like, "Hey, that's great. We support you in wanting to go to college. We're going to help support you financially as best as we can. But you need to take your grades seriously. You need to make school a priority."
yeah,
And so I heard my parents, and I walked across the stage at my high school graduation just 6 months later, and I finally graduated, and I finally did it. I graduated 28th in my high school class.
okay.
Pause for effect. Out of 30 people.
I was expecting you to say, like, big Texas school, 1,000
No.
kids.
Oh, I mean, like, I'm surrounded by a lot of big Texas schools, but I went to a small private school, and there was 30 people in my class. I graduated 28th. I barely graduated. So I can relate to the feeling that you had. By the way, I also got kicked out of my school after a year and a half, in college because I didn't make school a priority there either.
Yeah,
But the reason I'm bringing this up is because for years, I I felt stupid. I felt like I wasn't smart enough. And remember, I will always find evidence in the things that I believe.
mhm,
So when I think that I'm not smart, I will find evidence that backs that up. I mean, all I have to do
human
is
nature.
remind myself, hey, I barely graduated high school and I get kicked out of college because I
Yeah,
couldn't maintain my GPA. And there's a quote from a poet named NQ, and he says, "Defining myself is like confining myself. So I undefined myself to find myself." So if I'm breaking this down, consider this. This is powerful, right?
yeah, it's deep.
Defining myself, or in other words, I'm not smart, I'm not competent, I'm dumb, I'm an idiot. Like these are all
Yeah,
negative self talk, which I don't
failure, yeah,
condone. Yeah, failure. So defining myself, it's like confining myself. What happened is I put myself in this box because there were times where I could have captured an opportunity, but I didn't believe in myself. I
yeah,
wasn't smart enough. I can't do that. I can't do this. So a lot of us, what we're doing as adults is we're looking through a small scope and a blurry lens. And
mm,
through coaching and counseling and mentoring and asking questions and shifting perspective and attending conferences and getting comfortable being uncomfortable, we look up and after some months go by, we realize, hey, that scope is a lot larger and the lens is a lot more clearer because I've been able to. So, yeah, defining myself is like confining myself. So I undefined myself
yeah,
to find myself. So undefining ourself is more challenging than it may seem. In order for us to undefine ourselves, we have to surround ourselves with people who are going to speak truth into us and help us reshift our perspective and reshape our paradigms. So we start thinking differently, we start doing things differently, and the more things we do, the more motivation and confidence we get. Here's what I mean by this. Most of us don't take action because it's not yet perfect. I'm not yet ready. I'm not yet motivated. I don't think I
yep,
can do it. And so I don't take action. But when you take action, motivation and confidence actually tend to follow. So when we take action, it's like, hey, you know what? That really wasn't that bad. Let me do it again. So
yep,
if we want to be great at something, we start. Or sorry, if we want to be good at something, we do it. If we want to be great, we keep doing it. And the idea is, yes, I'm not maybe the best at this, or maybe I'm not yet ready, or maybe I don't really know what I'm doing. But remember, it's this blind optimism type of thing. It's like, I'm going to take action anyway. I'm going to take action, and motivation and confidence typically tend to follow.
um, you nailed it, man, I love that, definitely gonna, you said it was NQ, is that who it is?
Yeah, IN dash Q, NQ.
IN-Q, NQ, okay,
Yeah,
perfect, definitely gonna have to save that one to my list,
yeah,
um, I think also with that, and I think this is, maybe not parallel, but maybe a little more perpendicular, I guess, of it is another quote is, "If your mind can conceive, the body will achieve." But also if your mind can conceive it, your mind can also achieve it as well
I
too. The
love
body
that.
part's more of like a sports thing, but also the mind as well. If you can think it, if you can dream it, like God wouldn't give you that thought without knowing that you could make it happen and he can make it happen with you.
Love that.
So, and also going back to the, that thought into my mind as you were describing like this domino effect is on a domino, or at least every domino I've seen, there's always 2 numbers on it. There's one side and another side. Which side do you wanna be on as well too?
Oh, okay.
Like, so, yeah, you might be on that empty side or that lower side, but there's still another side that you can go try out. Why don't we try this side and see what
I
happens?
love
It's like a
that.
coin as well too. There's heads or tails, like 2 things can be true at the same time.
Yes,
So,
it's so good. So good.
um Josh, I really appreciate your time today. I think we've gone through a lot of stuff. We could probably go for another hour here. Um, but I want to end it here. I know that we have some talks of doing this more in the future. I'm super excited to see you in person at Sunrise next month in July. Um, Congratulations on all the success you've had. You've really shown a lot of that today. It's made me so impressed with meeting you, and I'm really excited for our future and in growing together as well too.
Thank you.
For people who don't know, obviously, if you haven't paid attention to this whole thing, you have Limitless Leadership. You have your book coming out. You already have a book currently out. Plug your links, plug where we should go to find all that information out. I'll put it in the description below for everything. But if you just want to shout that out really quick,
Yeah, thank you. So if you are interested in connecting with me, just go to limitlessleadership.co.
okay,
Not com, but limitlessleadership.co.
yep,
And you can see all the offerings that we do. We do speaking, coaching, training. We work with current leaders, future leaders, aspiring leaders. I mean, we work with people. And by the way, when I say that, everyone is a leader, but we work with anyone and everyone. And the reality is, we have an opportunity to go from great to greater. When we have someone who can speak truth into our life, it's all the more easier to be able to do it, is to go from great to greater when you have that help, because multiple minds are better than one, and we can go fast alone, but we can go way further together. So I was
I think you missed the mark here. I think you went from go from greater to great to greater, but we can go from blue to black.
yeah, I did miss the let's go from blue to black together. So yeah, so if you go to limitlessleadership.co, you can check out what we're doing there. Um, the first book is called Leading a Legacy: How to Live Today to Make an Impact for Tomorrow. You can find that on Amazon. So if you type in Leading a Legacy, Josh Parnell, or Leading a Legacy, you should find that book there on Amazon.
Awesome.
Check out the Limitless Leadership podcast. Check out, you mentioned the Bearded Brotherhood. That's our beard company that my wife and I run as well.
I'm
So
excited to have my products somewhere. Oh, here we go. Got my products ready to roll. So yeah,
love
definitely.
it.
I've already used the beard balm and the tattoo cream as well too. The tattoo what's it called? It's called the
Rescue.
Rescue, right? Yep,
That's
Tattoo
exactly.
Rescue. I love this stuff. I love how it's not there's no like actual scent to it. Some of
Yeah,
them can be very like perfumey
yeah,
ish.
yeah.
I love that.
Cool. Yeah, we've got a couple different. We have the one that you have is not. It's called Nonsense. So
Yeah,
there's
the
no scent.
nonsense. Yep. Yep.
And then we also have some others that are scented. But yeah,
Cool.
I mean, if you're listening or watching this episode, connect with me. I mean, I love people. I love meeting people, and it's been a pleasure meeting you, Dylan. I'm looking forward to seeing you as well in July. And man, hey, the sky is not the limit, my friend. We're gonna go from blue to black together. So I'm excited about it.
I love it, Josh. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it one last time. Um, I think we had I don't know if actually this might be one of those podcasts where I don't know if we had any bad takes. We had a couple good drinks. We made some I wouldn't even say poor decisions. I think we made some excellent decisions today. So thank you. Have a good weekend. And cheers to you and your family.
Awesome. Likewise, man. Appreciate you, Dylan.
Yeah, Josh.